sell it to.
So come on in, take a sip. Let's wind down. My name is Christopher. Welcome to the Guardian Wednesday Solve, and I am delighted that you are here to solve this grid with me. And it is late. It is 6 o'clock. Do you know where your children are? Yeah, but to answer my own question. But it was such a long day, I drove down to southern Bavaria to visit one of our clinics, both health and dental. Just a long day, back to the headquarters, did a report, talked to some folks, got home. It's late. And I thought to myself, I could stop at the wine store. I could get something yummy, something nice, right? Maybe treat myself to like one of those really rare bottles, maybe spend a good tidy sum, right? But then I thought, no, let's just get home. Let's just go do the grid and make a Rob Roy. Now, Rob Roy, I don't know how familiar those of you are, if any of you are familiar with it. I mean, obviously, he's, Rob Roy, everybody knows who that is. The guy that Liam Neeson played. No, it's a Manhattan, but you make it with a Scotch rather than a bourbon or rye. And for me, it's a perfect cocktail because then it's not going to be so terribly sweet. I do mine typically equal parts, kind of a 50-50 thing. I'm using a single malt Ben Bradley here today. And I try to get the consistency of the look of a glass of iced tea, sans the ice, right? That's kind of what I'm always shooting for. That's, to me, is always going to be a healthy balance on those. When it comes to a dry martini, any use of vermouth is just to rinse in the glass and then chuck it before I pour the gin. That's a martini to me, unless I'm having a Vesper and feeling particularly James Bond's, but no, that's pretty rare. But I do love a Manhattan. And when I'm not feeling the sweet, I love a Rob Roy, but it is absolutely wonderful. And the shape of this glass just forces me to drink a little bit slower, which is good, since I've had 2 puzzles to contend with this Rob Roy. So it's a good thing I'm going slow. Let's hop into our grid and see what we've got today. I'm excited about it. I like the Wednesday grids in the Guardian Quick. I like every day, though. It's always a challenge. Even when I blunder and mess something up, like yesterday was awful, but it is what it is. No big deal. Okay, let's see. So we've got a date. Exhilarate. Closing remark, 4 and 4. What do you think that's the last word? I'm going with the last word just to see, and this kind of lines up with elate. And if you're familiar with my solving style at all by now, you'll know that I like to feel like I have a couple of things to go with here. I feel this date at 10 may be an engagement, but I don't know. I can go ahead and check real quick. So the E and G here. So G blank T, I guess cakes would be gâteau. And interesting, that only works in English, though. As a Francophile, as well as an Anglophile, my 2 favorite groups of people on the planet have been at war with each other forever, it seems, doesn't it? The French and the English. But what's interesting about the word, though, is in French, gâteau is just a cake, right? I mean, it's just cake, or cakes in this case, right? But I'm thinking, but in English, for example, you could have a cupcake and it's still cake, right? Whereas gâteau, it's different. It's a little bit more elaborate, right? It comes in layers, maybe. Maybe there's refrigeration involved, maybe it's a lighter, fluffier, eggy type of cake mix that's in there to create that part of the texture. So it's a very interesting word. I love it. Ordering gâteau in Paris or anywhere around in France, I'll be even more specific. versus, you know, how we use it in English, which is pretty amazing. So I think a date really could be engagement. Go ahead and get that in there and see if we can work on our downs. 3 trios. So that would be 9 and 9. A group of 9 would be a no net. Brad could be a nail. Okay, so far, boy, feeling really good. Well, I'm just waiting to see what's going to hem me up. Is that a term y'all use in the UK? Hem, to hem something up, to hem somebody up? I don't know. It doesn't even make sense when I say it. I wonder. I mean, I'm sure context clues and all, it makes perfect sense, right? You're being hemmed up, maybe being sewn into something you can't get away. I don't know, but I mean, just wondering if y'all use that. Describing oranges and lemons. Something else here. Let's see. Nervous. T. Just by any chance an I. Start and end of day. That would be midnight. So this may be jittery. And what do we got here now again? Oh, citrus. Okay. All right. Okay, got it. Pugilist's underwear. Okay. Well, the X falls in line with the pugilist part. I'm going to go with boxer shorts. Okay, that's clever. To the setter. To you, dear sir or madam. Productive. What do we got up here? Practical or oral. Maybe an exam. Had to do those two. So we got ourselves a blunder here. It could be a goof. And speaking of, yeah, that would have been me yesterday for sure. And most days trying to solve this grid. Productive. I mean, that could be any number of things right now. Piece of cheap jewelry. I like how y'all spell that. Jewelry. See, that's the thing. I always, when I'm speaking Yank English with Yank English speaking people, I rarely say anything because I'm not a critic of the way people use the language, but I'm always thinking, when you say jewelry, I mean, it's jewelry. That's Yank English, right? That's how we would say that, jewelry. But people still say jewelry. And this is why you did that. No, I'm kidding. I mean, they'd be like blaming y'all for people saying nuclear. It's a thing, but it is pretty interesting to me. So a cheap piece of jewelry, I don't know yet. Collar when it's time for prayer. Is this by any chance a Z? Piquant could be zesty. That works for me. And I'm thinking this is a muezzin. Now, the question is, did you spell it right? I don't know. A piece of cheap jewelry. Okay, that U goes here with the A to make a bauble. Advantage could be a plus. And definitely. High voice. Tennis or bridge achievement. Probably a slam. And probably, maybe, definitely, kind of, sort of a falsetto here. Water lily. That T tells me maybe lotus. So can to La Spezia stretch, and I think this we're talking about the Riviera. Most beautiful country, really. Wrongful could be evil. Okay. Evil. Okay, so definitely looks like it is turning into a by all means. I got to tell you, I used to dread with fear and wonder kind of dread coming home to do the Guardian, but now I just look forward to it. I feel like I get to have a conversation with my friends around the world who are into the UK grid, and it's always a challenge. And I've just approached this since day one as something that I do. I don't care if I'm right or wrong. I mean, I don't care if I solve a puzzle correctly or not. It's about the journey to get there, right? Which is how I've always done it. But this is the one grid that really does, as my wife puts it, proves I'm human, which says an awful lot on many levels. So productive looks like now we're looking at fruitful. And boy, I tell you what, with the exception of the muezzin, I don't feel too bad about this one, but I could have fat fingered something, and that's altogether possible, but it doesn't matter. It's okay. I'll learn from it. Let's see what we got here. Let's go ahead and do a check all and see how I did. Come on, Yank. Did you do all right? I don't see any holes. As always, point them out to me if I missed one. Go ahead. Crush my spirit. It's okay. But I think I got myself a W today, and for that, I have all of you to thank. It has been nothing but amazing. Just the sheer respect and kindness that I've received from the Guardian community and within our own wind down community, and it has meant the world to me. And so cheers to you all. We'll bring down our Bannière d'Adieu. And I'm sorry this is late coming up for those of you who are early watchers, and I do apologize for that. However, and it could be very late watchers too, depending on if you're on the other side of the world right now. But for those of my Aussie friends that like to dial in on these, this was an awful lot of fun for me, and I hope we didn't catch you before bedtime. In the meantime, until we see you on the morrow, just be good to yourselves, your friends, your neighbors. Just be especially kind to the person behind you in the queue. And as always, ich wünsche Ihnen einen schönen Tag noch. Auf Wiedersehen. Tschüss. Servus. Grüß Gott. Ciao. Chin. Chin. Be well out there. Do good things. Chat soon. See you for the Thursday grid. Be well.